of the issues with using internet resources, library resources, some techniques, some things I want to show you, and some services that you may or may not know about. Your survey, you guys were right on. I mean, we have a lot of people that are aware of some of the big resources, but really conveying that to your students, some techniques for better searching. One of the things, even Katie reminded me of, some things to make your life a little bit easier, like what's called permalinks. So I'll go through some of that and show you ways to link to articles, how to get permalinks. Permalinks. I'll show you. It is hard to figure out, but once it's in context, you'll get it a little bit better. Let's see. I want to start with something fun, and the only one I could find had Russian subtitles, so I'm going to go with it. If anyone hasn't seen this, now I don't like to make fun of students, but one of the things that when I talk to them about searching and trying to find their resources, talk to them in a way that you have to give it some patience. You have to do some thinking. It's not all going to magically happen for you very quickly, even though the searching part does happen very quickly. There's still a level of frustration that we see at the library. I can't find anything. It's my favorite. Like, you can't find anything? Nothing? There's nothing available in your area. So, right. So I just want to show, and it's not the best quality video, but you'll get the point here.
Back then, yeah. Those were simpler times, I think. I just feel like we may be going back to that, by the way. But in a way, good, because when I read things like the foundations of capitalism are shattering, I'm like, maybe we need that. Maybe we need some time where we're walking around with a donkey with pots playing on the sides.
You think that would just bring us back to reality?
Yeah, because everything is amazing right now, and nobody's happy. Like, in my lifetime, the changes in the world have been incredible. When I was a kid, we had a rotary phone. We had a phone that you had to stand next to, and you had to dial it.
Yes.
You realize how primitive? You're making sparks in a phone, and you actually would hate people with zeros in their numbers because it was more like, oh, this guy's got 2 zeros. Screw that guy. Why do I want to? And then if they called and you weren't home, the phone would just ring lonely by itself. And then if you wanted money, you had to go in the bank for when it was open for like 3 hours. You had to stay in line, write yourself a check like an idiot. And then when you ran out of money, you just go, well, I can't do any more things now.
That's it, yeah.
That was it. And even if you had a credit card, the guy would go, oh, and he'd bring out this whole shunk, and he'd write, but you have to call the president to see if you have any money.
You had to call the president, yeah. It was ridiculous.
Yes.
Do you feel that we now, in the 21st century, we take technology for granted?
Well, yeah, because now we live in an amazing, amazing world, and it's wasted on the crappiest generation of just spoiled idiots that don't care, because this is what people are like now. They got their phone, they're like, it won't. Give it a second. It's going to space. When you give it a second to get back from space, is the speed of I was on an airplane and there was internet, high-speed internet on the airplane. That's the newest thing that I know exists. And I'm sitting on the plane. They go, open up your laptop. You can go on the internet. And it's fast. And I'm watching YouTube clips. I'm in an airplane. And then it breaks down. And they apologize. The internet's not working. The guy next to me goes, this is bull. Like how quickly the world owes him something he knew existed only 10 seconds ago. Flying is the worst one because people come back from flights and they tell you their story. And it's like a horror story. They act like their flight was like a cattle car in the 40s in Germany. That's how bad they make it sound. Right. They're like, it was the worst day of my life. First of all, we didn't board for 20 minutes. And then we get on the plane, and they made us sit there on the runway for 40 minutes. We had to sit there. Oh, really? What happened next? Did you fly through the air incredibly like a bird? Did you partake in the miracle of human flight, you non-contributing zero. You're flying! It's amazing! Everybody on every plane should just constantly be going, oh my God! Wow! You're sitting in a chair in the sky.
Yes.
It doesn't go back a lot. And it's not really... here's the thing. People, like, they say there's delays on flights.
Yeah.
Delays, really? New York to California in 5 hours. That used to take 30 years to do that. And a bunch of you would die on the way there and have a baby. You'd be in a whole different group of people by the time you got there. Now you watch a movie and you take a dump and you're home.
Okay. Now, I use that just as a way to talk to students about being somewhat patient with the search that they're trying to do and the things that they're trying to convey, and with our building, quite honestly, and wireless, and all the things. And I try to show them, one, when they come into our building now, they actually take up 3 IPs, meaning the wireless zones, we're saturated. 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you can't get connected because they have a laptop, a phone, and they're like, we can't get connected yesterday. So talking to them a little bit about patience. I'm not trying to bash the students, but this is always a little bit fun, and they find it very humorous as well. So the one thing I want to start with, since I am a librarian, is the library. And making sure that you're aware of some of the wonderful things that we have for you. A lot of you said, I use the catalog, I can find my books, I use OhioLink, understanding the consortium, the state consortium. But conveying that to students is making sure they know, and savvy ones will figure that out, especially when they don't want to buy the textbook. They're going to try to find the textbook somewhere else. I mean, you can search the entire state, right? So we went through that, and on your surveys, you all did, remarkably much higher than in the past. So that's really good. That's really great. So the thing I want to talk about really is an area over here, and some of you said you've used them, but not everybody. So the library, we have really the gravy train of databases. It is incredibly overwhelming for students because there are so many databases that are based on subject areas. So for marketing, for German, everybody has sort of their own area. This is the full alphabetical list. I'm not sure why we even keep it up here. Because it's so intimidating. It's a lot like...
we use it, Lisa.
Because the librarians use it, quite honestly. But it really isn't for students. Because it's like yesterday's list. You get, oh my God, where do I start? What do I look for? And the things that we know is that when students are coming in or asking questions online for help, it starts around the subject. The frame of the question is, I'm in this class, or I'm a classics major, or I'm this. So we're framing our information the way they're searching by subject. And we have this product that we're okay with. Not that we're completely happy with it, in my opinion, but it's working. And I want to make sure that you're aware of that. So if you were to look, you can just go into that research by subject. There is a guide of resources for every subject. And if you want one for your course, we will put one together specifically for your course. We know the level of frustration is so high with trying to find, and then they have to try to remember the name of the product and they call it wrong. We don't want them to know that. That's, again, it's one of those things that they don't need to know that one comes from EBSCO and one comes from Sage, or, the product names. The way I got to that is if you're at the library homepage, lib.ohio.edu, we'll change our domain eventually. We're holding out. Under research, subject and course guides. Subject and course guides. And if you haven't looked through these, there is just an amazing amount of information. And it's not just subject in the sense by division, by course. It could be on digital images, right, is a subject. And we can help you find, and it's not just library resources, we can put web-based resources there as well. So see everybody looking for their area, which is great. So I'm going to show one. So this is American Studies. And it's very plain. It shows Jenny Presnell, who's the librarian for that area. And that's your other biggest resource. There is a librarian on staff that is assigned to every department. Regional, Oxford campus, there's somebody for your department. And the one thing that you can see even on the American Studies is course guides. So I just wanted to show you because there's a lot of examples there. For different classes, we will create a guide. How to find the articles. These are the books. This is where you go for different things. So Peggy Schaefer, we were helping. Now it gets a little more complicated. There's a lot of resources on this page, but company and industry information, scholarly and trade journals, these are the places I want them to go and use. The other one we've done is American Studies 301. Is it 301, Katie? Which one did we do? Sure.
It's on my.
Yeah, so it's Katie. Here's one here that we were helping students with digital storytelling. Digital stories. Where do I find all the resources? How do I get the guide to use iMovie? So think about, that whole notion of bookmarking, saving, telling them a path in which to go through this rich resources. You don't have to do that. You could email your librarian or talk to somebody, have a meeting and say, this is the assignment. This is what I need them to do. What would be the best path for them to take? How can we create some sort of course guide that's going to allow them to do that? Okay? And again, it's not just things that we own, sponsor. We'll put in, different websites that we know of to be reputable, have good, good content, things we want to share that you're fine with them using. Because, one of the things that we're trying to help faculty move away from is that recipe assignment, I like to call it. A cup. 2 articles, 2 books, 2 websites, right? I know you're trying to get, and the students take that so literally. They're very concerned. Well, I can't use this because it's not a book. Well, it is a book, and it's an electronic book. Oh, I can't use the internet for this. And I know it's amazing. I mean, we could probably spiel all day on just this topic.
Yeah.
We have faculty that will have assignments that they do. I want them to physically touch the journals. I'm not joking.
I just said that.
I understand that. There is a point for that they would actually browse through it, and we can help for that. But you want to make sure we own it first. That's one that's happened. Like, we don't own that to make sure. Go ahead, Deb.
I remember in Blackboard we had this, if Susan set up a number of key databases that we used. It was like a library quick links or something set under that banner. Does Nika facilitate that?
It doesn't, but that's what this can do. You can just take the
And
URL
the class.
and then link that right there.
Instead of the quick links right next to it.
And create your own tab. Research resources for this course.
Great.
Okay? And that's something that when there's hands-on time, if you're interested, there's 4 librarians here. We'll get you to the person. They're on staff. If you want to talk to somebody about it. Because I was talking to John Baylor was here all day yesterday, and he's creating a new course on data visualization. And we have a numeric data person, and he met with him, and they already started yesterday afternoon. I need these kinds of resources, and I want this, and I want them to be able to see this. You don't have the time to maintain another site. We can put that all together for you. Okay? All right. So, the other thing that I wanted to show on the library website. There was a couple things here. So I know a lot of you listed, I'm just going to go to the database that I think most everybody seems, Academic Search Complete. Come on. Here we go. So brought to you by a company called EBSCO, and that's what happens. The students will say, I need EBSCO. Well, again, that's our provider for this database. This is, for almost every course, one of the places that we recommend students to start. It is called Academic Search Complete.
Is that on your...
How did you get into that?
I went, as what Andy said, I went to the alphabetical list. But on almost every search guide, it's listed. So I clicked on databases A through Z. Then I went to A. It's called Academic Search Complete. Why do we love this database so much?
It's broad.
Oh, what's that?
It's such easy query tools.
It is. The search is pretty good. It has a high percentage of full text, right? And so that's one of the things I talk to students. I'm not trying to just labor them like what it was like in the old days a lot. But to understand, you don't have to go get a photocopy and find the journal any longer. It's all right here. So the way you search and the way you retrieve is mashed together. An Academic Search Complete, we feel, sort of as a group, is really the one that services us the best for our students. It's a most general index to periodicals. I mean, if you're looking at it, it's over 9,000 scholarly journals. Now, that's not to say there's other ones that are specific, Gender Watch, Artful, things that are specific for a major, a discipline. And one of the things that I like to do is sometimes have the students compare the information that they would find from one database to another. What do you get if you search for information between these two databases? The publishers are different. The content is different. Okay. So if you're in Academic Search Complete, and a lot of you already listed that you use this on your survey, so I don't want to go through it too much. But if you're searching, again, it does have incredible features like, I want full text only. We know that right up front. I just want the best article that's already available. The best article might not be available full text, but you can have that choice right from the get-go. And I need it to be scholarly. And talking to students about that concept right here is what kind of magazine, Mike?
I use this frequently, but I usually get to it through Google Scholar.
Oh, okay.
So tell me, and that's what I tell my students to use.
Okay.
So could you tell me when would I go there first or when would I go there without having gone through Google Scholar?
Well, one of the things, Google Scholar is phenomenal. We're going to look at some of the things through there. In my opinion, when you enter in through the library, one, if they ever had an authentication issue, sometimes when you go in through Google Scholar, it'll say, link to PDF or available on Olin. I'm going to show you. It's going to give you some extra information saying, hey, that article is available. But if you didn't enter through the library, you're not going to get it.
Well, you have to go into settings, right?
Well, no, you have to go in through a proxy server and other things.
Right.
But you don't have to do that if you enter right through this database. If you come in our house, it's like we give you access to everything. And it's a really simple way to say something very technological. But it is a better way. And I know that sounds silly to say, but that's what students want to know. What's the most efficient way? How do you search? And I always try to tell them, I'm a librarian. I enjoy the search. I like that. I don't want you to be me. Yeah, and I like that. But I want them to be efficient, and I want them to feel rewarded, like I did it right. But they think like I have some secret. Do you have secret trade librarian things that you do? No, I enter in the database the same way you do. And I'm going to show you some of the best techniques. But again, I'm more thrilled with the search than they might be. Okay. So, understanding and showing students this. So I just did a very basic search, nothing fancy. I've been helping Liz Wilson with her course on marriage and women's studies class for a long time. And I've learned a lot of things about wedding customs and different things. So I did a basic search on burqas. As you can see, right away, full text, not full text, find it. There is a possibility that we could have this where someone else could have it, but I didn't select full text. You can resort these things, refine them right on the side right away, because showing students there are 723, but if I say I really just want the full text, it brings it down to 564, which is still pretty good, right? We're talking that it has a good chunk of available research articles.
Now, that last one had a
Yes.
foreign language as the third one. Is that an option?
Yes, languages are an option. You can say I want it in French or I don't want it in anything but English. Katie.
Even though you're not seeing the full text attached, that just means that we're not getting it via EBSCO.
Right.
9 times out of 10, it's going to be full text in another one of our databases.
Right.
So that find and run saves you.
It does save you.
One of the things that I always struggle with or worry about is how do you know that I never feel like I'm scouring all that's out there.
Everything,
Right.
right? When you look at, and that's what, one of the things you want to look for is, this is the blanket, the biggest one we have, but it doesn't exclude looking at ones just in your field as well. Because they may not, I mean, we could get into a 4-day conversation about publishers, and we won't. But they don't, always share and send their content over to different, sort of providers. But you're right, and we can look at that. And then I think there are, to me, there's usually the 3 avenues that I search. The general index, the index in my field, which is Library and Information Science, and then Google and Google Scholar. Is where I feel the best that I've covered, that pie chart, like I got 75%, I feel. There are other things, open source issues, lots of other things. But we'll go through some of those during the hands-on. Go ahead. Okay, Andy, go ahead.
You can never know that you found everything, but you try as many things as you can, and it's an iterative process. So you try something, you look at your results, and you say, hey, that's a subject heading I wouldn't have thought of to use this.
Yes.
Like you find the perfect thing, you see it's got 3 subject headings. Then you try searching on those 3 subject headings in different combinations and putting them together. It's an iterative process. I always tell students and faculty and everybody, there is no such thing as a perfect first search. There's no way you're going to put the right thing in the first time and get everything. It's a process, and you never know. I mean, sometimes it has to be old-fashioned citation mining.
Yeah,
Like you flip to the back and see what they cited. It's a process just made easier by the tools, but not really. It's still as it always was. It's a hit and miss.
It's a process that you're going to formulate your question, your query, and that synthesizing, reviewing, analyzing everything you have somehow has now happened simultaneously. There used to be sort of more of a set schedule of how I will start my search and get my things, and then I will synthesize or think and analyze. What's all happening at the same time? In Google Scholar, I love the citations where it links and shows you, and we'll go through that. There's another question I thought I saw. Oh, here it is. Hi.
Oftentimes when I'm searching, I get a lot of book reviews.
Yes.
And so when I click on the book review thing, that's supposed to eliminate them?
No, that selects
That
them.
selects them? So how do you eliminate them?
In this database,
Sure, in general. Or in this database or whatever.
well, one of the things you're going to pick is you just put scholarly journals, but you're going to
You're
get,
still going to get book reviews. I
you're
can
still-
tell them later. I can help them with
Okay,
that.
there's a-
It's kind
there
of
is a
it's a complex
touchy-
thing where
yeah.
you're selecting the
Gwen.
R type. But searching it.
okay, the question was JSTOR. This is, again, another product, right? When I talk to students, this is like talking about just different brands of different databases. JSTOR is the journal of storage, in a sense. It is an enormous research back sort of database of journals that have been digitized. So it's kind of funny because we'll have volumes 1 through 10 is available in JSTOR. And then we have 10 through 20 in print. And then 20, starting in 2011, is now available through a database. It's horrible. It is horrible in a sense. It's not organized in such a way. But JSTOR is wonderful because it allows for us to have backwards, to go back historically to data, to journals and get them full text. It doesn't have the most current. It's not always the up-to-date. If you were doing something historical, JSTOR is a great place to do. Okay, the thing I wanted to show. So here's this great article. And Katie said this is something that happens with her faculty a lot. They want to link directly to this article. Right? I want to be able to send this article to my students. And as Glenn was showing yesterday, look at the size of that URL. Because in the URL, it has the search strategy, the database, and there's a lot of things in there. There's this little link over here called permalink. If you select it, it gives you a shortened version of a way that they can get right to this article. So if you were creating a reading list, now it doesn't look that much shorter, but it is. You can highlight and copy and paste that. They won't have to go into the database, make the
The
search.
link on the top won't work at all.
Well, right.
It doesn't work.
It'll say you
And
have
the-
to.
And the other one, it's got the proxy in front of it. So when you actually go, you can be off campus and it's going to prompt you to log in. So that link will always get you back to that spot. So many times we have students come up to the desk and I saved all of these URLs and now I can't get back to the full text article and this is due in 3 hours and there's tears and panic and that. It's all because they saved that link on the top. I'm like, sorry, we can't do anything about it for you now. We're going to have to replicate your searches.
And that's Mike. That's that whole issue is that if they don't enter our house the same way, they're not going to be able to get easily back to the content. Okay, so permalink is a wonderful resource that saves you. If you were to build, you could then, build a whole list of resources that you want them to read and use the permalink. The permanent link back to this. Okay? Question. Go ahead.
The tools that you have, where did that come from on the side, the right?
It just, you know what? It doesn't appear until you go into one article.
Into the article itself?
See, if you're looking just at the list,
Okay.
see? I'm looking, here's this great list that I have of 564 results that are full text. They're not scholarly. I can change that, make it lower. I have a range. I can change all these things on the left-hand side. So you can see the question about book reviews. See, if you select it, you'll get just book reviews. Did everyone? Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. And then there's two questions, here and then here.
I just sent the permalink to test it, and it took me to that page, not to the article.
It took you to
And abstract.
this
So
page?
That's where it's going to take you. It's not just going to download the full text.
Yeah. We'll come back through. Your question.
I'm looking at the PDF full text little clicker thing there. It says you right click on it. It says you can copy the link address. Does that not do anything for you?
Which one?
Have Andy, I'll have him look at that.
Oh, that's not going to.
Yeah.
You just basically you have to send somebody to that page and then they can click one click to download it.
Doesn't always get them back.
You can't send them the whole set. I mean, of course you could download it and attach it to an email. Rename it to Grace Mountain, and then that's what I did. But there's no way. It's all the tech there in the electronic
Public use and industry. Yes, that's the list of things you want. Okay. We're going to have, I really am going to give you a full hour and a half because there's a lot of information here. I can see that this is good because I feel that people are learning and seeing some new things. So that, please. We will come back and I will get your librarian if you need someone to talk to about it. Thank you, Kate. All right, so here we are. We spent a lot of time in the research area. So course guides. Remember, we can create one for you. The databases, all different but the one that we recommend the most is Academic Search Complete. It's a good place to start. It's the big blanket. The other one I wanted to show that this has been coming up, and I've talked to several people about this, was, having a librarian or somebody show you some basics on a database. And I know Deb has done this, and there's somebody else has done this. We have one librarian for all of her databases. She makes a short video and screen capture. Right? So you don't even have to cover some of the things that I just did in class. They'll show you for scholarly articles. And under video tutorials, find information, video tutorials, we've been, and we're actually going to be creating, I think, 6 or 7 more. And this, we are using Vimeo. There's a lot of things in here. And here's Susan Hurst, the business librarian. Now, it's her talking for just a minute, but it's mostly her showing the database. Company research using Hoover's, which is a database. We have one for everything. How to use the Thunder Room. Right? If you're having students use Skype, I needed more information. Things that we answer or get a lot of questions on, we're creating more and more. One of the other things that we're doing is creating SciFinder. If anybody from the sciences. Yes?
How did you get to those?
Sure. On the front page of the library site, and it says under, hang on, let's just open a new page here. I'll go back. Under Find Information, Video Tutorials.
Let me find information, video tutorials.
Video tutorials. Video tutorials. And one of the things that we're moving towards are videos in Chinese. So we have somebody on staff that's helping us coming and doing our instruction on some basic databases and tours and different things in Chinese. So we're moving in that regard because we have a lot of students. So I wanted you to see that. It's important. And we have so many new students and students very unfamiliar with the culture of our library. Deb.
This is a side topic, but since we have these international students, do you have a number of international textbooks as well?
No, we don't. The question was, do we have international textbooks? However, we had funding, and I bought translators.
Okay.
So we have electronic translating units at the front desk by the iPads. I just let the international office know. We got them last year. We put them over in the...
It's just a visual thing that they slide over the text and they...
No, it's a little that they would have to do some searching on their own. I could
Okay.
bring one in and you could see it. Yeah, why not? Katie will go get one.
And actually, this raises a good question because this came up in our classes.
Yes.
So the professor couldn't figure out whether she was going to allow the students to bring those to the exams.
Yes.
So
I got a call from Ray Gorman about that.
exactly, because it was from me.
Oh,
today.
thank you.
So that's something that people, when they're constructing their syllabi, really need to think about now.
Definitely.
Are you going to let the international students who are having some
Yes.
English
The thing they needed to understand is technologically, it is not going out. It's not an open access internet searching. It's a word for word. It's an online translator. Right? So there was no upper hand, in my opinion, that they would get, that they gained.
Decided to let
They did, okay, because it was they wanted to understand that it wasn't really like a smartphone that they could then go out and use internet access. It was not the case. Okay, so there's several in here, and I apologize. It is heavier in the business area, but if you want or are interested in something like this, we can help you do that. If you're creating an online course and you want them to learn this database, that's a skill set that you do not need to cover. We could do a small screen Camtasia video and put it. So if anyone's interested in seeing it, this is a very small little translator. They're getting more. We want to get Korean. We need Mandarin.
We're going to need Arabic.
We're going to need Arabic. That was somebody else said that too. We need money. first. That's one. And then I need to get some other ones. But we are making our very basic, how do you get around in the library? Where are the books? Basic things for them to understand. We're doing them in Chinese. Okay. What are we doing? Okay. If you don't know who is responsible for your area or your division, a staff person, in the About section, there's a link to the librarians, and it has their email and their phone number. And you could just say, hi, I'm a faculty member here, and I need your help. And that's what they're there for. I'd like to have a LibGuide for my course. It's online. I need to talk to somebody about having a video or a screen capture of your databases made. If you want to talk to them and have somebody just take and go through your assignment for you, we're really going to see it from the student end and what this assignment reads like to them, because they take it so literally. We're willing to do that under, whatever you need, especially with the assignment. Does this work? How would they access these resources? Okay? Everyone feel like they've seen something new before we move on? Is that hands of approval? Hey, you got a thumbs up. Thank you. Okay, so let us. Well, the one was JSTOR. If anyone's doing historic, the way you would get the comment was JSTOR databases. Some of my favorite databases people don't always like Andy said that we have one, LexisNexis. I absolutely love it as a resource. If you're not familiar with it, LexisNexis is an enormous database of full text, primarily corporate, but newspapers and international newspapers. So if you needed to find something, and it's full text, and it's the most up-to-date. So where you're going to find it is under L, LexisNexis. And the other one is JSTOR, was the one that people were mentioning. What is JSTOR? And you can find it, So you can see full text archive of important scholarly periodicals in all of these fields. And we're all hitting it at the same time, if you're interested in that. Now, historic, old, but full text. And now I can't seem to get into it. It's scrolling. Did anyone?
I can't either.
Okay. That's okay. I mean, that's one that if you're interested. And the other one is LexisNexis, and I am going to show that one. It's LE. LexisNexis. And the one that I like is called Easy Search, LexisNexis General. There's a lot. There's news. There's legal, congressional information, full text. If you are looking for anything that happened in the news, in a newspaper, from 1980 to today, full text, you can search for it here. At one time, LexisNexis used to send us this nice letter, because they're up in Dayton, right off of 75, if you see them. Like, this is what your bill would cost if you didn't get your educational discount. And it's usually in the millions of dollars. If you see any legal drama that they're always searching online, if you look, geeky librarians are like, oh, what database are they using? And you see up in the corner, LexisNexis. Any movie that they're searching for files or criminal records, they'll make it look, old. LexisNexis. I mean, it's in every movie they use it. It's very fun. But to me, this is a way that I'd like to talk to students about validating information or something that's happened in another country, looking at their news sources. Could you look at a newspaper or a collection of newspapers somewhere else? And you can select different things. Wire services, magazines, broadcast transcripts. You're not going to believe it. In and out, different times, different television shows. The transcripts are available. Do you ever see that at the end of 60 Minutes?
Yes.
Transcripts are available. They're in here. It used to have Oprah, but no longer has Oprah. That was like a big thing. Like, Oprah's transcripts were in LexisNexis. Not that we were searching for it, but. I just put in Burka. I asked for newspapers. And you're really going to get the most up-to-date information. Some of our other databases, there's a real delay. There's embargoes. I mean, the publishers, they have us. But to me, LexisNexis, hopefully they're not in some factory in Bangladesh with people typing all this stuff in.
Yeah.
That's what makes me think of.
Yeah, sure. So who are some offenders, or what's difficult to get in terms of like embargoes and that sort of thing?
There's a couple journals that I know that I can't think of the name because I just helped a faculty member. It was actually Mark McBride needed a journal, and they just embargo it for a year till they make it publicly available online.
The servers, don't we get delayed data from that too?
Hoover's, I believe, is a little bit like a 6-month delay. But in the business world, that's, crucial. But I just wanted to make sure you could see LexisNexis. And I'm not saying this is just business. This is newspapers. International. Yeah, Katie does a lot with international students in different departments. And this is phenomenal for finding information. If I have time, I'm going to show this one website that we talked to my students about looking at information. How can you think it's real or not real? And I'm not getting philosophical like, do you see it or not? But is this valid information?
The Onion.
Like the Onion. Yeah, the students don't know what the Onion is. I'm always like, oh, no. Yeah, right. Because it gets, some of those articles, they get fooled. I use LexisNexis at times to show an example of how did you go back and really find out if that was real? Well, I went to that country's newspapers and I found some articles about the topic that's on that website.
So this would be interesting. I'm just thinking personal, and not professional, but for example, what just happened with the Boston bombing?
Sure.
The way it would be reported in Chechnya versus the way it's being reported here
Exactly.
would give us a great perspective in terms of, who's believing whom and, how the story's unfolding.
The slant. How do they get their news source? Evaluating where the content comes from. Not just the content, but where the source, right? Follow the money.
Argentina versus London Times.
Right. Yes.
I may have missed, maybe said this. If you wanted to limit, look for sources only, say, from one country.
There is a way. I'll show you later. It's a little more complicated, but you can get into the sources. Katie will come over and show you. You can actually just select one newspaper to search. I just want the Times or something. This plain Jane, I always say like JSTOR. I clicked on JSTOR. It finally loaded up. Nothing fancy, but boy, is it vast. Right? You're looking at certain areas. I mean, this is where, the humanities are not underrepresented. This is where you're going to find a lot of back information. Now, it's going to take a lot of time. I just clicked on load, which is crazy. So, classical studies, 16. And it breaks it down. But again, historic. I'm talking 1897. Some of it's current. That one had a current one. So you're going to see how it gives us some information. That one's current too, which is good. JSTOR, Journal of Storage, old journals that have been digitized. This is big bucks.
Now there's a published date and an external content date.
Yeah, some of it, and then there's like an embargo. You see, we don't always get all of it. You have to buy. Getting a full run of a very expensive journal is complicated. And expensive. Because one, they have us that you can't cancel the print if you want the electronic as well. Yes, this is what keeps the publisher alive.
I just want to know what the heading is.
Yeah, let me keep moving because we're running out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right here. 2007.
Right.
So what's the difference in there?
Let me go through. Let me come back and show you. Some of it is, the whole thing is there, and then one you're going to go out. I'll explain. Okay, let me write myself a note to come back if people are interested in some of that external. Okay. This is great. So I want to make sure that you're using some of our most expensive databases so that we can show they get used. They have the most information in them, and they're getting used.
What's the most expensive?
I'm going to say LexisNexis. I'm going to say, but because we get a consortium, it's the state of Ohio, it really was one of the ones that, the directors of libraries came together and said, sort of, up yours. We'll come together and buy it at this price. You can't bully us. And really, Ohio was, and I know that sounds kind of silly, it was the first state to do this. I'm from Pennsylvania, and we studied Ohio when I was in grad school. Because it was people like our former dean and a dean at Bowling Green and Ohio State that said we would never be able to afford these things on our own if we united and then came as sort of the aggressor and said, this is what we'll pay. We need to have these resources. And that's what they did. That's how Ohio Link started.
I have a question.
Yes.
Can my hand class look like
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I thought you had a limitation to 3.
Some of one part of the congressional, but most of them are full IP range.
Okay.
Yes. That's the other thing is we don't always get databases that we want just 5 simultaneous users. That's part of a lot of the negotiations. I want it for 30. I want it for, if I'm paying for the IP range of 16,000, they get us for FDE. That's how you pay. If there's a problem with something, let me know. Now, some of your databases might. Some of the science ones, there's one science one I know of that has that. A chemical one that's just outrageous. The chemistry people, American chemistry, I don't want to badmouth them. Okay. Sorry. All right. So the next part of what I want to talk about is let's talk about Google, right? The overall product of choice and where people start, and we all do. We all do, is Google, right? We are becoming an end-all, be-all with them, and their products are fabulous. They have changed the way we do things. And we help students. And so what I did was, and I'm not big on print, but for me, and I think what people have told me, the print of this works best. Let me give you one right here. Here is a handout. Just take one back here. I'll give you the other side. Katie, if you don't mind, could you go that way? It's every shortcut that Google offers search-wise in a print. And I've had people laminate this and like they print it up on their board. Like, how do I do that again? I just don't want to look at some of these extra little things. And I mean, it's all in here. It's in advanced. It's in different search strategies. But once you start to know them, you just start using them and typing them in. I am an aggressive keyboarder. I like to type. You know, I use it for everything. And so I don't want to always have to click, click, click. I want to type it in. I have certain search strategies. I already know the commands. I know how to make it work better. And that's what we talk to the students about is, I know you search Google, but let's make it a better search. Mary Jane.
Yeah, so,
Dawn.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, thanks.
So, many of us often have to use literature in another language. So we want a definition of a word.
Yes.
And you would go define and
Yes.
you put the international
Yes.
word. Okay.
Or it does translate. It has an incredible
Right,
translator.
you could write translate code.
Yes.
Because I usually type it out. What is the translation of?
No. And then remember, this is a machine. And one of the things that, trying to talk to students about is how does it really work? How does it work? And I'm going to just show a quick 1.5-minute video of people from Google. They've already talked to you about this.
Hi, my name is Matt Kutz. I'm an engineer in the quality group at Google, and I'd like to talk today about what happens when you do a web search. The first thing to understand is that when you do a Google search, you aren't actually searching the web. You're searching Google's index of the web.
Students are like, what?
Or at least as much of it as we can find. We do this with software programs called spiders. Spiders start by fetching a few web pages. Then they follow the links on those pages and fetch the pages they point to, and follow all the links on those pages and fetch the pages they link to, and so on, until we've indexed a pretty big chunk of the web, many billions of pages stored across thousands of machines. Now, suppose I want to know how fast a cheetah can run. I type in my search, say, cheetah, running, speed, and hit return. Our software searches our index to find every page that includes those search terms. In this case, there are hundreds of thousands of possible results. How does Google decide which few documents I really want? By asking questions, more than 200 of them, like, how many times does this page contain your keywords? Do the words appear in the title? In the URL? Directly adjacent? Does the page include synonyms for those words? Is this page from a quality website, or is it low quality, even spammy? What is this page's page rank? That's a formula invented by our founders, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, that rates a web page's importance by looking at how many outside links point to it and how important those links are. Finally, we combine all those factors together to produce each page's overall score and send you back your search results, about half a second after you submit your search. At Google, we take our commitment to delivering useful and impartial search results very seriously. We don't ever accept payment to add a site to our index, update it more often, or improve its ranking. Let's take a look at my search results. Each entry includes a title, a URL, and a snippet of text to help me decide whether this page is what I'm looking for. I also see links to similar pages, Google's most recent stored version of that page, and related searches that I might want to try next. And sometimes, along the right and at the top, I'll see ads. We take our advertising business very seriously as well, both our commitment to deliver the best possible audience for advertisers and to strive to only show ads that you really want to see. We're very careful to distinguish your ads from regular search results. And we won't show you any ads at all if we can't find any that we think will help you find the information you're looking for, which in this case, the cheetah's top running speed is more than 60 miles an hour. Thanks for watching. I hope...
Okay, so talking to students about how does it really work, one, and then showing them strategies to search better, right? And that's, in turn, works for you as well. And it's one part of the puzzle where I'm going to search. So library resources, structured databases, and some of the resources and getting what you can find through Google. So I want to talk a little bit more, but I really want to set you free because I know people are like, what does this mean? What does site search mean? Site search to me is one of my favorite ones. Is that I can actually select a URL and have it search in the site for me.
Where's that on here?
Site. Right on the front, it's in the top.
So if you were going to say look for an annual report instead of going through the 50 different things they want
Yes.
you to look for.
Annual report, site, colon. Annual report, maybe in quotes. Bundle these commands. Annual report, www.ge.com.
What happened to the old multiple lines for advanced search?
It's still here. The advanced search, once you start searching, there is an advanced search. It's all still there, but this is just a shortcut sheet of every command.
Well,
I'm trying it, nothing's coming up.
Okay, hold on 1 second there.
I can't find anything.
I can't find anything. Oh no. Okay. Do you want to just search for a little bit now?
Yeah.
Okay. You want a little hands-on right now? People are like, the spaces there. Site, muohio.edu. Right? So I'm looking at somebody's website and certain things should come up depending on, but at least it's right there. You know what I mean? I'm going to get to a main page, but I'm putting in a keyword, site, and the URL.
But you didn't put in quotes.
I didn't put, because admission is a single word. If it was a phrase, I'm not sure this one will work.
Like tuition and fees or something.
I'm gonna test this one. I don't know if it'll work.
We might not like the results. Oh, we.
He's not in there, remember we tried to find him.
No, Glenn is.
Glenn is? It's professors,
Oh,
plural.
it is in there. Okay, we won't go right to it. You can read that on your own time. That's a good one. It's a good fiction.
Do you have chili pepper next to you?
He does. So there's a website called Rate My Professors. Not that I want to get into that, but you know, I can actually, if there's a site that has a listing of lots of names or something, site searching. I don't have to do the search. I don't have to go through it. Okay. So site searching. Link. Look on the handout for the link search. This is another one that's kind of interesting. Link. Find link pages. Show pages that point to a URL. So, if I type in link, and a web page I created, it's under restrict search. Right in the middle, link. LINK, link. So let's say I'm, Santucci.com or something along those lines, and I want to see who has my website linked on their page. It will bring up a result list of showing people who have mine on the back.
I was showing this. There was a story in Wired this week about how to find confidential information. The NSA just released a report. Did you see it?
Yes.
The government had a report about how they use Google to spy on people, and it got publicly released, and it's got these great Google tips for finding spy information. And this was one of the searches that they recommended. So if you do site.za, which is South Africa, I think.
Yes.
And then file type XLS, that means you're looking for spreadsheet files. And then the word confidential, you get all this like South African government confidential web. I think they've purged some of it since the article came out. But
Yeah, it's only 26,000. It was like 100 and some thousand.
I actually did this for Miami to see what I could find, and I didn't find anything.
Yeah.
So that was.
So what he did was, so you know how a domain works, right? So you have certain parts of a domain, MU Ohio or Miami.edu, I like to refer to it as. That high-level domain gives you an indication of where it is or what it is, right? So edu is usually higher ed, unless it has a K-12. Then there's states.ou, and now there's country codes, right? So you can get country codes, and so 2 letters. If you're interested in some of those, I can show you the country code list. Okay. JSTOR, we're done with. All right, we're at time. Peter's going to come over here and start making like faces at me real soon. So, Google Scholar. Now,
Okay, just what, how do you
Yes.
get into that?
so I'm a typer, scholar.google.com.
Well, where do we type it?
You can, it's under more.
Yeah.
Even more, there's a big list of them you can go through and select and pull out. But because I'm using a browser, I just start typing scholar.google and it comes up. Scholar. So, a lot of you said that you're using Google Scholar as a mechanism as well, right? To find things. To find some things. Again, if you're going to come in and have this and use this on campus, you're possibly going to be linked back to resources that we already have. Because it's pulling from some of the databases that they've been given access to. This is not everything, and this is just starting. Right? This is just starting, but it is a key. So it has, of course, its set of own. You can just search. You can put other things in. So I was looking for, Peter Magolda. So if I put in Peter Magolda just as, without quotes, anything, I'm going to get a series of articles that appear, that it looks like Peter is the author. Especially the first ones come up. So right away, look, it's going to show you hey, these are available already somewhere at Miami. That's what it does, is it overlaps some of the content that you're already looking at, but not by discipline, right? Those databases we have are structured by education. So for Peter, I'd have to go into some of the education databases and look up Peter Magolda. In Google Scholar, Peter Magolda. It doesn't parse by database. It's just going to give me any indication of articles that Peter wrote. But then if it's available. Now, there is a way to ensure, so it says 1300, I'm not sure that he's the author, or mentioned and cited. So there's a way to ensure that he's the author by putting author, Peter Magolda, and from 1200 I have 256. Again, knowing some of the advanced searches that are in that advanced button are going to make your life a lot simpler. So I know right away, and so people want to know, why did this one, the campus tour one, which was really controversial at its time, for Peter, why is that the first one? Why is that the first one? Relevance, yes and no. It's the sites. How many times it's been cited. So your impact indicator numbers that people sometimes look for, this works very similar.
Oh, so for Scholar, I get it. For
Yes.
Scholar, it's because it's how often has this been cited.
Yes.
Is that the top page?
Yes. So
I do it, I don't get that.
Okay.
you're not in Scholar.
Yeah, you're in Scholar, and there's no, remember, it is touchy. It's still a machine. It is author, Peter Magolda.
Yep, thank you.
You're welcome. See, it's not touchy, and that's where students are like, it's not working. It's a series of characters.
So if you are going to cite someone, if you're doing research and you're going to cite someone, this tells you this is probably the first person you should try to cite, or
I mean, this has the most, he is cited the most on this article. So his most other popular article that's been cited. And this is where we were talking, like, am I finding everything? Looking at the citations, going backwards. Andy said go to the back of the book or go to the article. It's right here. There are the 46 articles that cite Peter's article in some way. Are they connected subject-wise? I don't know. Discipline? I have no idea. I would assume it's something with higher ed. But again, it's not always there. And sometimes students will say, I use Google Scholar and it's asking me to pay for the article. Yes, it will. We may not have everything that's here or access to it.
but you say it right there, find it out.
Right, right. So some of it is, and they'll see. They'll see. But this isn't everything that's in Academic Search Complete. It's not the same set of data. But it's a great way to show people, how do I pick an author, or you know what I like it for? If students can't, they have an incomplete citation. Katie's nodding. That's what people come up. There's an article, his name's Pete or Peter, and it's something about, he talks about the rec center, and he makes a slam against them. So, obviously that's what the campus tour one is about. Mike.
Do many students use interlibrary loan if they can't find it?
Well, we promote it. It's something that we will, it's not something they come about and they go, well, I wonder if this library would borrow it for me. That just never seems to occur to a student in undergrad. But grad students understand that concept much better.
International stuff going outside the U.S. for foreign language stuff, they use a lot.
Yeah. But it's something that we promote. The moment I say to students, I want you to think of your world. Here we're going to search Miami's catalog, what we have here at Miami. Then we'll search the state, Ohio Link. WorldCat searches anything published in the world. And if they have it somewhere in WorldCat, I can borrow it. Now, it doesn't happen tomorrow. That's the other thing. The concept of mail and regular snail mail is now part of it. Shipping a book and things like that. So, but planning your research. So yes, interlibrary loan. Okay, so Google Scholar. Something new. Wonderful. But yes, if you have an incomplete citation, this is a great place to just throw in some keywords and try to find bits and pieces. Somebody may have cited it. I always seem to get like a French name that has like an L and an apostrophe, and I can't always, the student doesn't really, get all of it. That's been a hard one. So, I mean, I could put in, let's see, let's try author, whoops. Steve. Let's do Steve. So Steve. Steve is in here 18 times as author. And his citations, I'm not sure if it's all Steve, because I'm not sure he's written in mineralogy and... Ah, okay. So, search for yourself, right? This is one of the things that everybody does in Google. How often do you do it in Google Scholar? What do you look like in Google Scholar? Depends, huh? I'm going to bring it up. Go ahead. So you can at least get an idea what's been cited, related articles, right? So if you're looking for somebody else who's published something similar, those types of things. There's the biggest bug above your head. I already saw it on the wall. Sorry, I'm going to get somebody.
Oh my.
Sorry, I didn't mean. I'm just like.
Were we all like
Okay. Yeah, look yourself up on Google Scholar. See what it is. You can change the date. You can change a range, right? Articles, legal documents, different things if you're looking for. If you're interested in that.
Apparently I published something at disorder meeting and right.
Yes.
Oh, my citations.
You can set up a profile for yourself.
Oh, and so that anytime something new, go ahead, do it. Katie's going to show something that I don't even use.
How is this synced at all with like academia.edu or research page? Because I noticed that's what I get notifications that, oh, legal,
Yeah.
do this my citation.
Yes.
And then your articles. How
I
do
love that part.
now,
Yeah, put your own in.
I can't.
You know what? Yeah, I'm sure it is.
I know, I just bought this and like had no instructions.
There's a lot of money to be made in genome.
There is a and like every time you get a new thing. I mean, I haven't usually had a certification. Clearly, I don't have very much right now. Because all the first citations. You have to post your very
So Katie showed that you can actually create your own profile. So if people were looking for you and they find more information, it would come up and link directly to this profile. What's that? Yeah, it's over here. If you're in Google Scholar, there should be edit profile or profile. Yeah, let me see here. My citations. I apologize. You have to be signed in to your Google account.
Follow this author.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Like the one that you
Christina? Yes. Yeah, you can get notifications if you want to see if something comes in from a specific author. It's My Citations. It will step you through creating a profile. She's up here at the desk. Sorry. I don't want to stop because we're. Okay. Thank you guys. I'm sorry.
Thanks, Artie.
Which one was it? Where was it?
Takes like 5 people.
F1 and 2.
Yeah, function. Oh, without them. I was holding up function. Sorry. Does that help? Better? Good.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Okay. Because I really want to give that whole hour for you to have hands-on time. There's one other Google section. Now, everyone's like, where are you finding all these Google things? There's the Google, and then there's the more Google, and then there's the even more Google, right? More, even more.
Oh my gosh, no, I didn't see how you got into that.
Oh, here. It's right on the front page.
Yeah.
Oops, sorry, hold on. So here if you're at Google, there's more. So you have search, images, mail, drive, calendar, sites,
Oh, yeah.
groups.
Okay.
More, even more. And if you select that, you're going to see a huge amount of offerings that they provide. Other things. And this is like as they take over different companies or services and buy them, this is where they're going to put them. You know, YouTube and different things along those lines. One that says Scholar is there. There's another one that I like that is called Trends, Google Trends. And it's changed over time. I used to really like it because it used to keep much more historical information, like big lists of what people search for. But you can look at something that is trending, a topic, and it's going to show you countries that are talking about it, where the search is coming in, where the information is coming in from. Google Trends. So, okay, so the one that's popping up as soon as I hit it, A, is Abercrombie and Fitch.
Oh, that's a scary one.
So there's a lot going on right now. Did I spell Abercrombie right? Okay. So I typed in this word. The number of 100s represents peak search interest. Like, when did people search about them? And what was happening at that time? Now, I'm not sure exactly. Didn't do a lot of background on it, but I'm sure that some of these other peaks probably had to do with ad campaigns that went badly, because that's what they were known for, some of the imagery that they had. But recently they're in the news for their CEO saying some horrible, horrible things. Yeah. So now they're on the upswing, right? So it's a trending topic. It shows you the relatable terms that people are searching and who is searching about it, what countries. Then you can modify that. Now, I'm not sure exactly how you can say, hey, how does this pertain? But what could I do? I could look at images, the news, product, videos about it. I could, change it. So let's just see. It's saying this goes back to 2004, but let me just see in the last 7 days. Well, let's go back. It looks like let's do the last 30. Change it. So really, when did it peak? When did it break? The story and what is. The interesting thing is you can actually put two terms and compare them.
If they give you some alphanumeric text, how do you display more than just
EGE. Well, some of them do limit some of the things over here with the years.
Add other terms
Limit
and
search
change.
too.
Yes. Change some of the stuff on the categories. You can actually change. When swine flu was coming out and it was H1N1, you could search, and I had my students do some comparison searching on that. It was called swine flu in different countries, but we refer to it as, or people refer to it as H1N1. And looking at the search terms, how did they search, where did it search, what country was really talking about it. Just the United States. It's already showing that. There's another one that was a company that had like a total meltdown. Amy's.
Amy's Bakery, something, ABC is what it is.
Yeah, like no one really knew who these people were. So let's do just U.S. So the interesting thing is who's really talking about it? Just the states. Like nobody in the... Hello.
Wait, where is this?
This is Amy's Bakery. Was it recently in the news on an event that happened with them with Facebook and I don't know what's that? Kitchen Nightmare. There was a situation there. So it's pop culture. They were in the news and then they used social media to fight a cake in a sense. And now they turned out to be they're nutso. But anyway, that's my opinion. But using something called Google Trends, you could see that you could apply using something to make a comparison of information, right?
Now,
Was
did
this
you get a sales, Abercrombie sales for the last 3 days as a result?
we could look at and see what have they had a decline? Look at the market. Has it gone up?
I would suspect that.
Now see that would be very interesting as their hot term
We're betting the sales went up.
up. So Google Trends. I'm going to go 6 more. Peter's looking at me through the window. Okay. Can't show that. All right. All right.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, you may.
When I was going through those more, I
Yeah.
also clicked on YouTube.
Yeah.
And they had some suggested YouTubes for me.
Yeah.
And it's almost like they're following me.
Of course they are following you.
Yeah.
Do you remember what Matt Cutts says that they do about 200 things? There's a location that it's really hard to turn off inside of Google now. They've made it much more difficult. That it bases, when you start searching for a Steve, it automatically put in Miami University. They know the IP. They know where we're coming from. There's a lot of questions that they'll answer very quickly on certain information they gather from your computer.
And what are they gathering it from my other Google searches or from my, because this would have been probably from my Facebook stuff.
Possibly your other history,
Yeah.
your IP.
But Google is not Facebook, and yet they're interdigitating with
Right.
other.
Think about how the video I showed about how it works,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
The relevance, like
Yeah.
how many times did the occurrence of this and what you search for? Interesting, right?
So could a hacker get in there? Because what I was searching for was,
Well, I should say they can't.
could
Of course, they
actually
could get into
a life
anything.
at risk maybe. I mean, maybe.
Well,
I
if
don't
you're
know.
putting personal information and banking and all the things that we do, but I'm not saying you wouldn't do that. Of course, they could get in there, but I'm saying Google is containing and building a case of who you are, Mary Jane, and your searching history and what you look for, and they're trying to build that preference searching. I mean, think about Amazon, right? The way Amazon works, people who looked at this would also like this. They're building that preference in there, and for the most part, people like that. But sometimes when you're searching, go ahead, Artie.
I think that this is why a lot of technologists think that Facebook and Google are the two big competitors. Like, we often people talk about like Google versus Apple.
Yes.
But the real,
It's
do you agree with this? I agree.
Yeah, it's-
the real competitor for Google is
It's Facebook.
not Apple.
definitely.
Google actually loses money on Android. Like, they're not.
That doesn't matter.
That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The thing that matters to Google is knowing as much as they can about you. If you're uncomfortable with that, like I am, then, be careful. But just realize that that's what they're, that's
Yeah,
their
but
business model.
if you're actually interested in something, reading about something, as I am, and it's because certain things pop up on Facebook, what am I going to do? Stop reading about that stuff?
I mean, are you asking what's my advice from a security standpoint? I don't know. But I would just say you got to recognize that that is what Google's trying to do. Like Google, they have for the past 10 years, their goal has been to know everything about the web that they can. The next 10 years is going to be knowing everything about every individual user.
Right, about Mary Jane. Trying to make sure that it's honed about you.
They've solved the web problem.
Yeah, they've got it, right? They got us. They're not going to give that algorithm the way that they search away.
Yeah, they talk about being open and all that stuff. That's all a bunch of crap.
That is crap.
Like, the reality is what they make money on, they're crazy closed about. You know, which is their algorithms and...
Right, that's what I was just going to say. They repackage all of that and resell it to businesses.
Definitely.
Yeah. Which, if you're uncomfortable with that, then
Just
don't
to defend Google, this is how they make money.
Yeah, I'm not
Right.
saying it's
So,
bad.
like,
You
the
should
everything
know
is
that.
amazing speech, like,
Yeah.
everyone's pissed off about it, but like, you get all this stuff for free. You know, if you want to start paying for it and then
Exactly.
get your,
But-
I mean, privacy is
And you
the
probably could do
trade-off
that.
you
You
make
could
for
be like,
free.
track nothing I
Yes.
do, and I'll pay.
There's anonymous search. There's all sorts of things. But again, it's building.
$99.
There are alternatives to Google that do not do any tracking whatsoever.
Yeah.
That are pretty good.
Yeah, DuckDuckGo is my favorite.
Yeah. There's some other
You
ones.
lose all that predictive, you know, you use all that help.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have like 4 minutes, not even. I'm at 3. So what I want to do is there's 2 more little things. I'm going to link to them.
I typed myself in there, said there was
This really is more business, but there's another one called Google Think that's listed there, and it has what people are searching for, what are they clicking on, and it's going to show you. It's a lot of brand issues. Kind of find this interesting as a way to look at it, but this is more personal. Okay. So at the end, I usually try to talk to students are what are some of the ways that you can look at the information that you're obtaining, right, and evaluate it. This is the most difficult part, and I'm going to spend less than 2 minutes on it. But there are some ways, but it's really much more complicated is finding where does this information come from? Who's the source of the information, right? How has it been generated? And we like to look at them, and you think that there's 5 easy steps, right? Oh, the author. Well, people can, are you really going to dig and find who the author is? Right? Looking at the information, is it valid? There's an opinion there. Information coming from PETA is going to say one thing, and information from, or the American Beef Council with their great music that they play on those commercials, what are they going to say? Where does the information come from? Looking, bias, source, author. And one of the things I try to help students understand is they always say, okay, I want to start a business or I want to do something with my friends. And they go and register domains. And they go and get an identity out there. Glenn did it, I think, a couple years ago in class because we found some that were open and he purchased them while I was talking. Very simple to do, right? Is one, I've got to get the address or obtain some of that information that I can put where I'm going to put my information. And I like to just make sure that people understand, you can get domains, you purchase them, people purchase them and then in turn sell them.
I own muohio.net. I'm just waiting for
He's waiting for Miami to come knocking.
Nice.
Or it becomes a porn channel. I tried to. As soon as they announced at Miami OH, I tried to buy all the other ones. But
What
they're
about
smarter.
Mika.net and Mika. I don't think they did a good job with Mika.
One of the things that I like to look at and when I talk to students about current events and use information technology, it's usually something around election time. I seem to teach at these pinnacle points in time around election time, and I always find that fascinating, and it's fun that we will watch how people start registering domains. And there was an article about hints that Hillary Clinton is going to run is that she's starting to buy up all the domains of every iteration of her name. Okay? So these are ways that people use indicators of information. Like, how is somebody? So if I want to look at Hillary Clinton, and I just want to see what's available, I can pick all these domains. Like, tell me, what can I get?
And that's all I use.
I don't know, search now.
You're automatically.
It's going to show me what's available and what's already taken and registered, and someone is paying for it. You put in Hillary 2016, same thing. They're going in as indicators first. Why? To own the information and the source of where it comes from. Hillary Sucks is already purchased. What was interesting was it was purchased last year, and I can see who they are and their address.
Wait, you can?
You can. Follow the money. There's this little tiny search at the bottom of this site, which is just called Network Solutions. It's one of many places like GoDaddy and all those other products that sell domains. But there's a command which is actually an old-time Unix command. Who is? Who is? And it's all in caps. Who is?
So you're searching for who bought Hillary Sucks.
And I can search by IP. Somebody in Scottsdale, Arizona already owns it. And they bought it. Now it's a third-party provider. They're going to be willing to sell it to somebody who wants it. Yeah, they're under audit. So, following the money, right? Indicators. People buy domains, they sell domains, they try to get where to source, where does it come from?